Hello and welcome, this is Mousegunner, and we're back with some more BattleTech and my continued look at the backer beta build and the single player skirmish mode that is currently the only mode available. I'll be doing another gimmick build, and I'll be rounding out my look at the different weapon systems by covering the one weapon system that we haven't yet looked at, and that is missiles. Now I am going to be putting this together in one group rather than separating it into two distinct groups, short-range missiles and long-range missiles, for a couple different reasons. First off, I already feel like I covered long-range missiles with the indirect fire gimmick build that I did earlier, but also just with the mechs that we have available, it's rather difficult to make a loadout that is entirely specifically short-range missile focused. It's possible, but I feel like with this, I just like to do the missile systems together, and it does actually result in a fairly well-rounded Lance loadout. So let's start by taking a look at the mechs that we have selected. So the first mech I have is a light mech, and that's going to be our main scouting mech, and that's going to be the Commando, which is armed with an SRM-6 and SRM-4. Pretty good firepower for such a light mech, and it does have a backup of a medium laser. I'll be using Witness to pilot that, and we're going to be using the sensor lock. The next mech that we have is a pretty obvious choice in this loadout, as it has a very heavy short-range missile loadout, but it also has long-range missiles as well. So we have three SRM-6s, extremely heavy missile-oriented firepower, but it also has a LRM-5 as well for a little bit of long-range poke, and then we have a couple of backup medium lasers as well. The next mech in the loadout is the Catapult, which is going to be our support mech of the group. It has two LRM-15s and four medium backup lasers, as well as jump jets. And then finally, for a very well-rounded mech, we have the Orion. I'm using the variant that adds in an additional SRM-4, making it more missile heavy. So it has two SRM-4s and an LRM-15 for its missile loadout. It also has an AC-10 and a couple medium lasers as backup firepower. So we've got two bruisers, or two heavier frontline mechs in the Orion and the Kintaro. We have a support mech in the Catapult, and we have a scout in the Commando. Pretty well-rounded loadout, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and jump into things. Now, I'm not going to be using the random opponent as I've done in previous videos, because it seems like it is bugged, I guess, at this budget level, as we fought the same opponent 4 times in a row, even though it's supposed to be random. And I think the odds of that being the case is not particularly high, and I just get the feeling that if we were to go random again, we'd face the exact same opponent. So I have handpicked my opponent. I don't think I've faced against the Atlas in quite a while, and I want to fight the big boy, so that is what I have chosen to do. So our opponent's going to consist of a Commando, a Panther, so two light mechs, an Orion, so we're going to have an Orion off here, and then, of course, the Atlas. We'll be fighting on the river crossing, and let's hop right in. We may have some difficulty taking out that Atlas, but maybe due to its lack of speed, it will be last into the combat. So if you plan for that, we might be able to take out the lighter mechs before it really engages us. We'll have to see. But even the Atlas and the Orion is going to be a difficult challenge for us. The Orion is no joke. It's an extremely good mech. And if you are new to the game and you are playing with heavier mechs, I highly recommend the Orion. It is a fantastic mech that is very well-rounded, very well-armored, and it's got decent mobility for the weight that it is. All right, so let's go ahead and array our forces. I'm not sure if I want to split the group up or have them all come together. I think the Catapult is probably going to be best served firing indirectly. So we'll have it come up on top of this hill. It will be behind this rocky outcrop here, and it will be just fine. Our Commando needs to scout for us. I really didn't discuss what pilots I chose, but just going over them quickly. Witness is the obvious choice because of the sensor lock ability. Paradise is going to give us that evasive ability when I keep him moving, which is good, and I will be keeping the Kintaro moving as much as possible. Apex has the precision strike ability, so if we only fire one of our LRM-15s, we'll be able to overcome any defenses that the opponent has, except for evasive, but that's what Witness is here for. And then finally, with our last mech, the Orion, we have Ozone. If we keep Ozone stationary, he will be guarded when he fires, which is a pretty good ability for defense. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and take the Commando around this way to do a bit of scouting.
No need to tell me twice.
I think I'm going to focus my mechs in this area here. Normally speaking, I would maybe go around this way, but I feel like with our Orion mech, we can come in here and then just stay stationary in the woods, and we'd get our guard up as long as we stay stationary. The Kintaro I'm going to take in behind this area here. So we're in the area so that we can engage if we need to, but we're out of line of sight for now. This is a fairly small map, so it's possible we'll get an encounter at the end of this turn. On the other hand, it depends on what the opponent does. We know that they have lighter mechs. We're trying to remember what they were. It was a Panther. Okay, yeah, we do have first turn contact, and a Commando. So I didn't necessarily pay too much of an attention to my opponent and what its loadout is.
Sensor showing a new hostile.
Okay, I'm going to assume that these are our two light mechs. Oh, actually, no, light and heavy. So the heavy mech's going to be their Orion. And this is the one good thing about doing the random opponent, is the fact that I wouldn't know what these opponents are. I would know it's a light mech and a heavy mech, and I have to guess. But as I said, we've had not great luck with the random opponent lately. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and reserve at this point. I think it's usually pretty good to reserve your scout, as you can make a better decision on who to focus on. Okay, their light mech's gone clear over there. That's interesting. Alright, so our Commando is going to try and move. If we stay where we are, we're actually fine. We can do a sensor lock here. But I'm kind of curious if the rest of our opponents are going to go the same direction. I mean, we're all over here, but they might make a beeline for our catapult. Well, I definitely don't want to put our Commando in line of sight. So let's just sensor lock up here. We're going to sensor lock this mech, which I'm fairly certain is their Commando. We've just made that Commando extremely easy to hit. With Paradise, I'm going to move, but I'm also going to move in a way that we can get into cover. That makes us more defensive. But also, we'll be able to maybe come around this way and cover our catapult if needed. This isn't the best line of sight if I go here, but it at least establishes the line of sight. I don't necessarily want to move here because it maybe eliminates my ability to go that way. So I'm going to go ahead and face like this, and we'll take our shots at the Commando. I do have to keep in mind the heat of the Kintaro. Okay, we don't have particularly great chances to hit, except for the LRM-5. I'm thinking about turning off at least some of these weapon systems, maybe all of the SRMs, so that we remain cool for later. We're going to be firing with a lot of our mechs, so we don't necessarily have to hose this guy down with firepower this turn. Especially if our chances to hit are not particularly great, as we didn't do that much damage there. Okay, they can see the Kintaro. But fortunately, we are in cover, and we do have evasive, so we're going to be dodging and reducing the damage as it comes in. Okay, so now we have Apex and Ozone able to go, because it's our heavy mechs.
Commander.
Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and... Oh, our LRM-15s are not in a good state where we are, so we're going to want to back off a little bit. Maybe a reverse move is the best move in this case. And we'll move over this way. It's possible that Commando will be able to get to me, and then we'd be a really open target. But let's move this way to try and influence him to move back towards the center, if we can. And just so, in case we do get this flank, I'm going to go ahead and angle myself like that. We have no real incentive not to move our catapult at any given moment. All right, now we should have a much better chance to hit. Let's go ahead and fire. That's going to do really good damage. We've already eaten through some of his armor. Okay, now it's Ozone's turn. We've already got established line of sight, I believe. There we go. So our AC-10 and our LRM-15 will hit pretty hard here. We will be doing a lot of heat to ourselves if we fire all this stuff off, though. Let's turn off a couple of our medium lasers, because that's going to build up a lot of heat. Maybe turn off one of the SRM-4s. All right, I'm happy with that amount of heat. The SRM-4 doesn't necessarily have a great chance to hit, but I think it's a good idea to fire it off anyway.
I'm on him.
Boom, big damage there. We might get a kill here. Okay, so the SRM-4 may have been a waste, but that's okay.
Tango is trash, Skipper.
All right, so that removes their line of sight. So now their assault mech, the Atlas, has no established line of sight. It won't be able to do anything this turn without sprinting. And we've removed one of their main scouts. So assault mech, unknown mech. At this point, I don't think we're even in sensor range, so we might as well just reserve.
Holding action, Commander.
Okay, we still don't have a line of sight established here. I think we're still good to reserve at this point because we want them to... Well, honestly, I don't think it matters because we could be firing and... It's really, who do we want to fire at? Do we want to fire at one of their heavier mechs or do we want to take out their light mechs now? I think I'm going to reserve one time, and the reason I'm going to reserve that one time is I think the heavy mech... Okay, they did establish line of sight. That was what I was not sure of. So now we know that they've established line of sight.
It felt like it hit my spleen.
Okay, well that's not good. So what happened there is... Well, we're going to have a lot of chances to do things here. So first, we're going to grab Witness.
I hear ya.
We're going to do a sensor lock on their Panther. So the Panther clearly gave them line of sight. I wasn't exactly sure that that would be the case. Paradise,
Waiting orders.
we're going to move out of combat and we're going to remove this unsteady because while that's going on, the Kintara will be definitely weakened. So we're going to move here. And we're just going to brace, which is going to remove our unsteady. Boom. All right, so that's... Unfortunately, damage we don't get.
Orders.
Okay, let's move a little bit here. Actually, maybe a lot bit. Okay, that's probably as far as I'm going to move.
Moving out.
And we're going to go ahead and take our shots here. 70%. That's, I think, as good as you can get with indirect fire. Panther's going to be a little bit more heavily armored, so we're going to have to contend with that. Now it's Ozone's turn. Okay. So, honestly, the LRM-15, the AC-10s are going to be the only thing that can hit. Let's go ahead and turn on our other weapons so we don't forget about them in a future attack.
I got you.
Okay, we missed, unfortunately, with some of our big damage, but here comes the rest. Okay, so... We are going to have to contend with the fact that they do have a line of sight on us, but the only target will be our Orion, which is going to reduce the damage. And should have good armor as well. It's going to have less armor than it normally would have. So we're going to assume then that the Panther... Well, let's just reserve. The Panther should just fire on me. And at this point, I don't even know if we need sensor lock.
Need me to hold still for you?
Because we can just move Paradise. Establish that line of sight with Paradise. which is just moving here, honestly. And then we can unload with our Kintaro
Moving out.
and try and take this guy out before he gives any of the heavier mechs a line of sight. Unfortunately, our LRM-5 is not going to be useful this time. All right, how many of these systems can we fire? I think we fire everything we've got here except for the LRM-5. Let's try and take this sucker out.
Firing.
Okay, we're going to have him knocked down. Now, we can go for broke, go for witness, and try and get the kill. But I don't think that's a wise move because the heavier mech should be able to establish line of sight this turn anyway. So let's go ahead and reserve. Okay, here comes their heavier mech, which is going to fire upon me. And again, this is their Orion, so... Oh, it didn't fire upon me. That's odd. Maybe the Panther lost its line of sight when it got knocked down. That would actually make good sense. Alright, so let's go ahead and attack the downed... Do we want to attack the downed mech? It's possible we'd be able to kill that mech with ozone.
Ready to rock.
Do we have established line of sight? We do. Alright, let's try for a kill with ozone. So I'm going to attack. Oh, really bad chances to hit here. And we would shut down. I'm going to go with the center torso. Now we get to decide on what we want to fire. So, the other M15 has a pretty good chance to hit. The SRM4s do not, so I think I'm going to turn them off just for heat savings. We really don't have that great of a chance to get this kill, but I'm going to try for it anyway. Okay, we got it. Good job. Alright, so there's their line of sight taken care of. So at this point, I can establish a line of sight on a new mech, but I'm going to reserve for now. It's possible that this mech has established a line of sight, so the assault mech, their assault mech, will just attack us, but I get the feeling that that's not going to be the case. Okay, so they may have line of sight. I don't really know that for sure.
What can I do for you?
But I think the best thing to do here is we know we're going to get initiative, so we might as well just attack rather than...
Coordinates received.
use their sensor lock ability. Now they're going to have evasive, so that's the downside of what we just did. But at the same time, we get damage this turn that we normally wouldn't have gotten. Now, we actually have a better chance to hit the Atlas. Alright. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this decision,
Commencing Alpha Strike.
because some of our damage is not going to hit. Yeah, okay, I think that was a bad call, because we only did, what, 20 damage after firing all those weapons?
Standing by.
And we're going to have the same problem against...
Copy that.
And of course, the AI has I think, a higher dodge chance. I think that they've done that to balance a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to take witness.
Hear ya.
We're going to remove ourselves from line of sight. But we are going to use their sensor lock ability, and we're going to focus on one of these enemy mechs. I think we focus on the... Should we focus on the Atlas? Because we'd be able to hit it several times before it gets a chance to move. And it's also going to be the bigger threat. Yeah, let's focus on the Atlas now. Sensor lock that sucker up. Okay.
Reporting.
You're already at a point where you have line of sight, but we have to keep you moving so that you... That would probably be foolhardy to move up like this, but at the same time, I'm kind of thinking about getting myself into a position to... get into the water. But I think for now, we're just going to go ahead and move over, like, right there or right there. Only has to be a little bit of movement to count.
Move order received.
Okay, so we're definitely going to go for the Atlas. We don't want to fire everything here, though, because we will shut down. So let's turn off the medium lasers and just give them the SRMs. This is about missiles, after all.
It's getting hot in here.
Okay, I kind of expected them to go after the Kintaro here. Should dodge some of this.
There's a hole in my armor.
Okay, now it's our time to
Yes, Commander.
continue to lay on the fire. So we're going to attack. We're going to hit the Atlas. We might be able to knock him down. Now, I don't know if we should go for the already weakened armor here. We do have the LRM-20 and an SRM-6 in that location, and we'd also blow off the arm if we got it, which would be a medium laser. Well, now's the time to make the decision.
Order, Skipper.
We're definitely going to fire at this guy, so we do risk a shutdown. He is becoming a little out of control, but we can manage this. Let's go for that location. I don't think we're going to get through the armor. Let's at least try for it. Okay, we got through the armor, but we didn't manage to get any crits on that location, so we didn't end up losing any of its firepower. Okay, I think that AC-20 did hit us. Yeah. Alright, we're just gonna reserve for now. Okay, so Paradise is in a little bit of trouble.
Yes, Commander.
Let's try and move to break line of sight, which I think we'll be able to do if I move over this way. Yeah, we'll do that.
Of course.
And then I'll brace to try and remove the unsteady. This will also give us a turn to cool off.
New adversary.
Okay. We'll reserve again, as I don't really feel like Witness has a clear move here yet, so I will just reserve. I'm not sure if we did break that line of sight. Oh, okay, that actually was pretty effective. Okay, so Apex,
Awaiting orders.
we're going to reverse to move away from the Atlas. We'll go like that.
On my way.
And I think we're going to use the Inspire on Apex. So let's go ahead and do that. This is not necessarily... I'm going to save it, though, because I don't think this is necessarily a great turn for it. All right, let's attack here. Oh, only 40% chance. I guess we didn't move ourselves far enough away. Okay, well, I'm still going to take the shot. But I'm going to remove one of the LRM-15, so we're going to get through that cover.
Confirmed.
So not a lot of this is going to hit, but some of it will. Okay. Now it's Ozone's turn, who only has the indirect shot, which I think I'm willing to take, because that will help us cool off a bit. Not a lot, though, honestly. Okay, well, we'll take the shot anyway. We did manage to hit the LRM-20, which is a good amount of the firepower of an Atlas.
My heat gauge is getting pretty high.
Okay, we're going to reserve again, make the Atlas go, and then we'll respond to the Atlas movement. Okay, so the Atlas did not run. Alright, well, Witness is going to move up here into the woods and hit the Atlas. We may have a good chance of taking down the Atlas here, so let's fire everything we've got. I mean, not with the commando, but like next turn, we'll be able to...
When I shoot you, you'll take it and like it.
We'll be able to pile on damage here. Alright, so Witness should probably move at this point so that we don't take damage. But I will use Sensor Lock here. We'll use it on the Atlas to try and maximize the damage we can do. Because there is a movement defense bonus that the Atlas has right now. I'm not going to do it on the Orion, predominantly because that's not our target this turn. Okay, so we have cooled off a little bit. I'm going to need to get into that water, I think, if I have any chance here, but for now, we're just going to move up. And we're going to do as much damage as we can to that Atlas before it gets a chance to go.
It will be done. Looks like we have guests.
Alright, let's see how much we can get away with. We can get away with all three SRM-6s. Can we get away with a medium laser? Yes. I'm going to even go that far. I'm not going to go with the other medium laser because we'd shut down, and I don't think it's worth a shutdown. But we are going to take what damage we're going to take. That might have been worth an Inspire, now that I think about it.
That's a critical hit.
We did knock him down. This is where we want to do the Inspire, though. Is on the knockdown mech. So, continuing to take damage to the Kintaro, but we managed to dodge a good amount of it.
I'm under heavy fire.
Okay. So, Apex is going to go now. We're going to try and continue to reverse away from our enemies as they are getting too close.
Move order confirmed.
And we're going to open up on the Atlas, hopefully taking out some of its systems. So both LRM-15s. We're going to go for the left torso, trying to take out that and its arm. Okay, we managed to succeed at that.
It's taken a critical hit.
Okay, now it's Ozone's turn. Ozone we're going to go full out on, so we're going to Inspire.
Oh, hell yeah. It's on now.
And we're going to open up on the Atlas. I'm going to go for the other torso section, which will hopefully remove... Yeah, we can take out the... Hold on, I'm not exactly sure if I selected that correctly. Right torso. Okay, we're going to fire everything we have here. This will shut down for sure, but I think it's worth it. Fire.
Engaging target.
Okay. There goes most of the Atlas's firepower. Now, we did shut down our Orion, but I think that makes the Orion a target, which is actually something that I think we want to do. So the Atlas really isn't going to have much choice other than to come in and punch us. So if we back off, that shouldn't be a possibility.
That wasn't good.
Okay. So we're going to reserve here with Witness. Paradise is going to back off as much as possible. As a matter of fact, I think we're just going to round the corner and try and cool off here.
I understand.
And we'll brace up. Reserve again. Allow their Orion to go. Their Orion will probably hit my Orion. Oh. Okay. Let's go ahead and grab the Orion and restart.
What are your orders, Skipper?
Okay. Now we have line of sight. We can use Apex to attack the target. And fire. Okay, heavy damage. I think it's worth waiting, so we're going to reserve. But we might be able to take the Atlas out this turn. Unless the Atlas runs away like a sissy pansy. Well, right now the Atlas is not a threat. So we're going to deal with who is a threat. And that is currently the Orion, which we may even be able to get behind here. That's not going to eliminate the evasive, though, so I think the wise choice is to move just in enough range that we can see an attack, but then next turn we're going to move further away so that we cannot get a reprisal against us. Yeah, a lot of that was dodged, unfortunately. But we did some damage.
I hear ya.
Okay, let's go ahead and back off. In a way that it's going to be very difficult for that Orion to come after us. Maybe possible, but...
We got bad guys.
And we are going to sensor lock up the Orion. Okay, now it's Paradise's turn to shine.
Awaiting orders.
What I was looking to do was get in behind, but we just don't have quite the movement I'm looking for. But I think we're going to go for it. And attempt to possibly get a flank next turn.
Certainly.
If we can. Now the Orion is going to be able to deal with... Okay, we are going to have to turn off at least the medium laser. We're taking a lot of heat damage, but I think it's worth it to get the damage out there. The Orion's going to back off and just guard up. Interesting. Okay, so Apex can deal with that by just turning off one of the LRM-15s. Fire away. Okay, so if that's the case, Ozone should probably just hit the Atlas because the Orion isn't doing anything this turn. So let's just open up on the Atlas. We don't have to fire all this stuff. We'll just fire what's not going to heat us up too much. We might take the Atlas out this turn. Boom, dead. Okay. So that's one less enemy to worry about. Took a little bit more work to take that Atlas down because it's, you know, it's a big boy. Okay, so now it's Witness's turn. Not Witness. I'm at Paradise. Oof, I want to get into that water. I think I'm going to sprint for it. We're going to need cooling off here. So we're going to sprint in here. Get in behind. We won't be able to actually do the attack that I'm looking to do, but...
Looks like we have guests.
It'll help cool us off. Reserve again, give the Orion a chance. Gonna go after our Orion. Which is fine. Oh, no, okay, now that the Orion has moved, we're perfectly fine in moving ourselves. So, just gonna move there. We're gonna come in and fire at this guy. Might be able to take out the arm, if we're lucky, from the attack on the side. Although, I don't know if this damage is gonna be enough to do that. Yeah, at least we got through the armor. Okay, now it's Apex's turn. We're going to go ahead and just use our one LRM-15. We are running out of ammo for that, but that's okay. Okay, knocked him unsteady. Okay, Ozone, we're going to go ahead and Inspire so that we can get rid of the defensive bonus. And we're going to attack. And turn off the LRM-15, of course. Fire with everything else. Pretty good.
I'm on him.
All right.
What can I do for
Now
you?
I'm willing to be a little bit more... I was about to say ballsy with this, but it's kind of hard to get a line of sight on our opponent. I think I want to continue to attack from the side, if I can.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to leave our commando vulnerable this turn. If we don't manage to take this guy out,
Firing everything I've
but the idea there was to try and take out
got. You're toast.
weapons. Knocked him down. Okay, good. Now Paradise is going to go in for the kill on the rear armor, although it is fresh.
Yes, Commander.
Okay, so right there counts as water. Come in behind so we won't have the cover to worry about. And we're going to open up with everything we possibly can here. We're going to go for the center torso, looking for the kill if we can get it. And fire away.
The target is confirmed.
Okay, we did manage to eat through that armor. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough, and I think our commando is going to take some damage here. Or he's going to go over and punch me. Okay. That hurt. But you just gave me your back armor.
Standing by.
So if we move over here, we've got back armor. We'll be able to open up with... Unfortunately, we only have enough ammo to fire one of the LRM-15s. We can't fire both. So if I click for the attack and I hit both LRM-15s, I mean, it's saying I can shoot them. Let's see if that actually happens.
Got the angle.
I think only one of them fired.
That's gonna hurt. Out of LRMs.
Okay, so we are out of ammo.
Orders.
Okay, Ozan can hit where he is, but honestly, we're probably better off moving at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward.
10-4.
And we're just going to keep opening up on this guy as much as possible. So we don't want to shut down, obviously. Go ahead and turn off the medium lasers and fire.
10-4.
Okay.
Watch my heat. I hear ya.
Can't quite get in on that flank. But we're going to at least get into the cover. And fire on this guy. With Paradise and Witness firing on this guy before he gets to go, we might get a kill. We'll see.
Take this.
Now, we are going to want to go towards the rear with Paradise and try and get that back hit. And we did knock him down too, so we will be able to aim fire at that center torso section trying to kill him. Okay, so I don't see any reason why we will not be able to get into that back armor. We might have some overheating issues, but I am willing to take it. We did lose a lot of our firepower, though, with that punch taking out our arms, so this might not be enough to seal the deal, but we'll try nonetheless. So let's go ahead and fire away.
Target acquired. Locked in.
Okay, we got it. Alright, so outside of damage on our Kintaro, we pretty much came out of that with not too much to worry about. The Orion was the other one that took damage, but the armor held up. Really just the Kintaro, not only taking an AC-20 hit and a number of other hits, but that punch close to the end obviously was bad as it destroyed the arm. But otherwise, we made it through pretty good. I think that was definitely a more challenging fight than we've had with the other random, quote-unquote, random matches that we had, or random opponents that we had previously, where we were always just fighting the Kintaro, the Victor, and so on. And we've already seen that the Kintaro in the AI's hands is, you know, not utilized at its best. In this case, we fought an opponent where all the mechs were being used for the most part at what they were best at, and we had a more difficult opponent in the Orion and the Atlas, and that indeed did, I think, prove to be the case with this match. In any case, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.